Hello and welcome back to the midweek mystery project, where it is time to pick this week's project. Last week we were tasked with fixing up all of my battle-worn Ekin, so this week I am hoping for something a little more exciting. And it looks like we will be attempting a Pokemon Shadow card. Way back when I first got the idea to try this myself, I did buy a bunch of duplicates of an Eevee card that I think would work really well. I also came across sleeves and sleeves of the PokeStop trainer card. These are definitely a lot of duplicates that I have to spare. So before I start cutting up Eevee cards, I want to get some practice in on the PokeStops. And it's a good thing I did, because you can now watch as I immediately make a mistake. And then remember that I was supposed to actually leave the border attached and not sever the entire card. Yeah, like that. Cutting out the tree was a little bit tricky, but other than that, the layers were coming together pretty nice. Now it was time to cut out the details. So the very tiny, very rounded circles of the PokeStop. In hindsight, it was still a really good plan to use something that I had so many duplicates of as my first practice, but actually the design of this card was not super beginner friendly. Then it was time to start cutting out all of my spacer cards. Again, I had so many PokeStops to spare, I just used more PokeStops as spacers for this one. And with all the cutting done, it was time to do a little bit of painting. So I covered up all the edges of my cuts, and then went in with the black paint to cover up all my spacer cards and the area around my back card. And while we wait for all of the paint to dry, I am now feeling confident enough to give it a go with Eevee. This Eevee card had some really nice dimensions at play already in the artwork, so there's a few key layers. One is mountains in the background, then the mid-ground field, and some blades of grass in the foreground. Then I cut out Eevee itself, as well as a second piece of just his head. And I cut out a few little details, and for Eevee, I decided to cut up a bunch of psychic energies to use as my spacers. Then once again, it was just a matter of painting all of my cut edges, painting all of my spacers black, and this time I actually blacked out Eevee in the back card as well. And finally, with everything else done, all that's left was to start gluing and assembling. I left them weighed down under a copy of PokePark overnight just to make sure that all the layers were flat and touching as the glue set. And look at that! Oh, am I talented or what? No, I'm just kidding. But actually, this was a really approachable and friendly art form for beginners, just as long as you pick a card without tiny little rings. Like this Eevee. Look at this Eevee! Honestly, I'm just really happy. I've wanted to try this for so long, and I am delighted by the whole experience. This is everything that I wanted out of my mystery project series. This tin is absolutely doing its job. So make sure you are back again next week to find out what our next project's going to be.